This is the Pawn Sacrifice channel, and this is part 22 of the Porsche 924S Turbo build. If you're new to the channel or just stumbled across it based on some keywords, I'll put a link up for the series to date. So this is the second time I've attempted to do this particular part. Was doing a load of drilling, cutting and what have you, again for the water coolant takeoff thing, which I think I'm almost there on, but I made a mistake, so I've ordered some more. If there's any used scrap aluminium people out there, I'm sure I've got a lot of it, mostly in the shape of water pump takeoffs. Anyway, that's nonsense. This time then, what I'm going to get on with, or what I'm going to start with, is sorting out the hard lines for the brake system, and then other than connecting the brake booster vacuum line, everything should be sorted on that, fingers crossed, I hope, once this is done. So I've got a couple different tools, I've got some different sized lines. For anyone that's missed it, I've essentially put a, pointing up to the link that's there, obviously, the brake booster from a BMW E91 or some modernish BMW, because it was smaller and it fits, and it, without me having to cut down the intake manifold, which is all good. Now I've got some adapters. I've ordered too many bits, as I always tend to do. So essentially the BMW system is slightly different from the Porsche, and I think possibly because of the ABS. And the way that it works is that there's two lines that come out and go from the master cylinder down to the ABS unit, and then they're split up and go wherever they needed to go. Whereas the Porsche unit, the original one, had three, so two on the BMW, three on the Porsche outlets, two for the front and then one for the rear. So what I'm going to do essentially is just take the one for the rear, which is a single hard line which goes all the way back. I'm just going to put a different fitment on the end of that, and then hopefully that will plug straight into the BMW booster. And for the two for the front, I'm essentially going to use a T-piece. Yes, I only needed one, but I have two. And essentially the way that this is going to work is there's a thicker line. So this is brake line for the piping, and I have actually done this before, actually for this car where it failed the MOT on credit lines. So essentially there's two, I think that's, yeah, I can't remember what the size is. I'll look it up and then I'll put it on a little text thing. So the different sizes that I've got here, this is the thicker one, which is off of the BMW line, and this is what's actually on there already. Now, where they're not compatible sizes, what I have got is fitments for the larger ones. So there's going to be a section which will go down to the T-piece for the front lines, and then I'll just fit the new connections on the end, and that will then hook everything up. Hopefully I won't need to go making anything there, but we'll see. So there'll be a section of this going down, and then I've essentially just got another one of these, so I need to cut the top off of the existing one that goes for the rear, and then replace it with this, and then put that on. So that's what we're going to be doing this time, a bit of a making up hard lines type thing. Hopefully it will all work, and I'm not going to need to get any different tools or piping. So let's have a look and see what we've got tools wise, because this is where it has gone a bit wrong in the past. Okay, so the different tools that I'm going to be working with this time. So unfortunately I didn't want to use this if I didn't have to. So this was the one that I bought, or the kit that I bought originally, which is a Silverline 9-piece pipe flaring kit. Now, no disrespect to Silverline, I've got a few different bits of their thingamajigs and I do quite like them, and actually I think a lot of this is just made under the license, because I've seen other people producing these things as well, and they are absolutely awful. So we'll go through that. Essentially, you put the pipe through there, put the flaring bit on the end, that goes over, and you just wind that down, and that compresses and flares the pipe. I was using that originally, and in fairness I did 1 or 2 bits with it and managed to get them okay, but I wasn't happy with it, so, excuse me noise, I then went out and bought this kit, and this works a whole lot better. So this is 3/18, and I think the other one's 1/4 inch now thinking about it. So similar sort of thing again, the pipe goes in, you close these or tighten these up, locks the pipe in place, and then you essentially use that to then push the pipe out and flare it. And that works really nicely, very easy to use, much better results first time, much more straightforward, and I'm very happy with that. Problem is, it's for the smaller pipe rather than the bigger. So then I went online and ordered this, which I thought was essentially going to just sort of attach in here. Sadly, it doesn't. And even if it did, the way that these bits work, there's a whole sort of calamity of a tool which is about £120, which goes around all this. That then goes in and it does it there, which if I was doing a lot of these, I'd buy the more expensive tool. Instead I've just wasted £15, £16 or whatever it was on this. So I may be able to reuse some of this, I'm not entirely sure, but I'll see on that. Anyway, so yeah, so I've got the nice one for the smaller pipes, and then I've got the pain in the ass one for the bigger section. So I'm going to do a couple of practices on the bigger section. Okay, so to make the section that goes down, I said I was going to practice on this, but I think what I'm going to do is, because I've got so much pipe anyway, so the sensible thing to do is make this end first, so I'll get this made up. So we'll just pop these on. I'll just give it a quick waz on here. So that's done, but I don't think that's quite right for the shape of it, so I'm going to do it again. And I think that's an important point with this, is particularly when you are making something for things like brakes, is that you have to accept that if you get it wrong, you just need to scrap it and then start again. This is attempt 2. Should work better. Okay, so these are my outlets. I had a look on the internet and I couldn't find anything to point out which one is the front and which one's the rear. I think this bit is the back chamber is obviously a lot bigger than the front, so I think that's the rear and that's the front, is the way that I'd normally look at it, but you can see stamped on there is the letter V. Now, I had a bit of a brainwave, and hopefully this is right. I went on to one of the translate services and put in the German for front, and it came up with a word. My pronunciation is going to be terrible, so I'll just put it here. Beginning with V, so I'm assuming they've not left anything chance, and that's actually the front. So I need to now connect this pipe in and get it so that it runs down to the back and against the firewall there. So what's this pipe's really easy to bend. It's quite nice to just have a socket or something around which to shape everything. So it's easy to bend, and then it's not. Oh no. Okay, start again time. So that's actually pinched this. The smaller stuff is very easy and doesn't do that, but that's really annoying. There, yeah, that can't be saved. So camera's off and back to making another one of these up. So having had a play with another bit, I think I'm going to have to do a wider arc and just almost do it by hand. Just keeping an eye on the pipe to make sure it's not buckling at all. So at that point I want to bend it through 90 degrees-ish. You can see this is an exact science. With this now roughly in place, I just need to A, make sure there's no wires behind there, and then B, just get that drilled and mounted. Bit slack with the drilling because my 11mm has gone walkabouts, but this isn't really taking any weight, so I wasn't overly fussed. Yeah, there's a little nutset, hold everything in place. Okay, so one of these is from the front on that side and the other one goes to the rear. I just need to look and see which is which. This one here, which looks like one that I made last time given the difference in the colour, is obviously this one down here. I will just double check that, but I'll be amazed if it's not. So essentially this one's going to get cut. I'll probably cut it higher than I need to, get it bent into place, put the larger of these things on, just to get that so that then that screws in. Right, so brake lines now. One of these two is for the front and the other one's, sorry, for the front on that side, the other one's for the rear. This one, which actually looking at the piping looks like one that I made previously, that needs to be cut and then just rerouted down so that it goes in there, and then the other rear one will obviously go in on the other side. So I'm going to cut this probably quite high up. That's going to be a really ugly cut. Is my preferred one. I actually bought this so that I could just do bits with the thing still on the car. So I'm going to use a slightly, because this pipe is a bit smaller, and to do it slightly differently so the one that we're doing now is typically the size that the brake pipe would be, in my limited experience, certainly on older cars. It'll have to be crazy tight, but that's enough. Finger on 16mm spanner. We're done. Alright, the hard lines are now in. The little adapter thing is done. Nothing seems to be touching the bodywork or other bits where things are going to start rubbing away, which is great. I may just put some protection on points where they're close. What I need to do now is get the bleeding tool going and get this all basically set up. And just see where the leaks are. That might sound a bit pessimistic, but I've got a horrible feeling there's going to be leaks. So let's see what we've got. If you haven't, actually let's just carry on, I think. So if you've not used one of these tools before, so I always end up doing this myself, the bleeding. So I've got a hose there which will do from the calipers to the little pickle jar or whatever it is I'm using to bleed the fluid out of, and this then just bolts into here. What am I going to do? Actually, we find some brake fluid, and I think I'm going to top that up first of all, and then go back through the system. So I'm just looking around. Brake fluid. I'm sure that I had some to hand. Okay, I've got a bottle of bog standard .4 fluid. So with these brake and clutch bleeding tools, it's quite simple to use. I typically do this by myself, so that's why these are invaluable. Quite straightforward with these. Just lob a load of brake fluid in here, pressurise the system, and then go around and bleed the brakes. Normally you wouldn't have this much movement in the wheel, or the hub rather, but here we go. So yeah, bleed nipple. What I normally do is have a piece of tissue handy, because like I said, this is nasty stuff, and just make sure that this is going to loosen okay. Okay, that's fine, that's good. So now that that's done, I'll just pop on the hose. Actually, I could have done that before, to be fair. The other end of the hose in this instance is just into an old pickle jar of some, oh no, jam jar. And simply open that up. And then what you'll see is the old fluid will start to be pushed out with a load of air, because I've bled the system down previously. That's still the old fluid. And then you just have to sit here and wait, and then after a while this should go completely the colour of new fluid. It's not moving. Oh, yes it is. So that's now basically fluid going through, that's all the way through the system, and I can see that's that sort of goldeny colour, so the other stuff's gone. I'm not going to be too obsessive about it. Normally if you're bleeding the brakes, you'd just wait until you see the what would you wait until you see all the, basically there's no air bubbles, which I'm usually quite obsessive over, but in this instance I don't think I need to be. This is a big, if somewhat probably badly lit moment. Just kind of give the pedal a few pumps here. Oh, that feels really firm. The slight problem that I've got is that all the calipers are stuck, I think, from just where it's been washed and then put away wet. So we'll be able to tell now, because there's a lot of force going through the pedal, so that should hopefully tell me whether there's going to be leaks or not. I think this is about done now. I just need to keep an eye on the lines, just to make sure that there's no leakage coming out of any of those. I should know more. I mean, it seems to be okay, but who knows? We'll find out in a few days, I guess. I need to tighten the booster up a little bit. There's a bit of movement there. Hopefully it's just a case of tightening and I don't need to do anything else to it. So we will see on that. I've got an idea of what I want to do next, but right now it is time to, I think, go mountain biking, and then I'm going to edit this and get it out as soon as possible. Next I need to be cutting up a lot of stuff to get things ready to weld. So unless I change my mind, that's what I'll be tackling next and very shortly. But thanks as always for watching, and hopefully catch you next time. Cheers.